As food insecurity continues to be the reality for more than 2 billion people, climate change intensifies and natural resources face depletion. Bioeconomy offers a crucial opportunity to balance human needs with environmental protection. We have already violated 6 of the 9 planetary boundaries. This implies that the frequency of climate events will increase, not only in frequency, but also in intensity. And this will have 5 effects: extreme temperatures, lack or excess of water, variability of the climate variables, mobility of species and people, and also evolution of diseases and pests. To deliver on the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda, the world will not only have to phase out its reliance on fossil fuel carbon and non-renewable materials, but also to unlock the economic growth potential contained in biological and ecological systems. The escalating demand for biomass across various sectors, from food to energy, housing to pharmaceuticals, necessitates a transformative shift in how we manage and utilize our biological resources while protecting ecosystems. Here is where the science will make a difference. At the heart of the bioeconomy revolution, the fourth industrial revolution, lies our agri-food systems. These systems are not only crucial for producing renewable biological resources, but also fundamental to addressing global hunger and improving nutrition. As we pursue bioeconomy development, we must ensure that food security and nutrition remain at the forefront of our efforts. Food and the agri-food systems provide the right to food, and we cannot take that into consideration. We need to match both goals to be able to assure sustainability. An agri-food system that is more efficient, and that's where bioeconomy can play a role, but at the same time, an agri-food system that can produce more with less. As with the previous industrial revolutions, innovation will play a critical role, ranging from biotechnologies to new institutional and governance mechanisms. They can transform how we produce food and non-food biological resources and manage the natural capital that supports their production. Innovations are by nature disruptive, but they require the right framework to be inclusive with and across countries. Only under this condition, the world can deliver on the triple agenda of environmental, social, and economic sustainability. We have produced the roadmap of SDG 2 without reaching the 1.5 degrees. This brings together the two goals, the goal of producing more with less in an efficient way, but also the goal of not reaching the 1.5 degrees Celsius. A series of actions and targets and objectives in 8 sectorial domains and 2 cross-cutting domains, data and policies. Here is bioeconomy innovations can empower smallholders and rural communities by providing new income streams from sustainable managed forests, fisheries, and regenerative agriculture, and bio-based products opening new opportunities in global and domestic markets. Circular bioeconomy models offer pathways to recycle and reuse waste, lower emissions, and improve resource efficiency. This concept of bioeconomy has gained significant global attraction, evolving from focus on resource substitution to a comprehensive model for sustainable development. Nearly 60 countries and 3 global regions have already developed bioeconomy dedicated or related strategies. The diverse national approaches to bioeconomy, shaped by each country's unique circumstances, present both a risk of exacerbating global inequalities if not properly coordinated, and an opportunity to harness a wide range of innovative solutions for sustainable development. To address these challenges, we need to integrate bioeconomy strategies in the agri-food system transformation process. Bioeconomy is a unique opportunity to drive transformation, but at the same time, it will only deliver on its promises if it occurs in systems that become more sustainable through increasing efficiency, equity, and resilience. As a whole transformation process, bioeconomy should integrate just transition principles, ensuring participation of diverse groups and creating improved opportunities at all segments of society, particularly small-scale producers, indigenous people, women, and youth. It should address the historical imbalances and avoid creating new inequalities, including through unintended consequences. That's why our roadmap is such an important framework that will help this process, in the sense that we are looking not only at improved efficiencies, but also at improving the redistribution, minimizing the externalities. Achieving sustainable bioeconomy requires collaboration across borders, sectors, and industries. Policy coordination is needed to provide the right incentives for the private sector and make sure that investments could be scaled. Building on the foundation laid by the G20 initiative on bioeconomy, and its 10th high-level principles, we must establish a global multi-stakeholder bioeconomy partnership. Fostering a bioeconomy requires a system-based approach, one that integrates food, water, energy, and ecosystems while addressing socioeconomic equity. Success will hinge on multi-stakeholder partnerships, governments, the private sector, civil society, and international organizations working in unison to achieve shared goals of sustainability. The FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, has emerged as a leader in the global bioeconomy development over the past decade. We are the first and so far only UN agency to have developed a strategy priority program on bioeconomy for sustainable food and agriculture, which was endorsed by its members 2 years ago. With our expertise and a strategic focus on better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life, FAO is ideally positioned to initiate and lead global multi-stakeholder bioeconomy partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, the time is for action now. By fostering innovations and sharing solutions, we can create a sustainable global bioeconomy that not only benefits all humans, but also directly addresses the pressing issues of hunger and malnutrition problems to ensure food security today and tomorrow. Our motto is good food for all for today and tomorrow, while preserving our planet of future generations. Colleagues, let me finalize by urging for an issue of coordination. As you all know, we have many initiatives today. We have the G process, the G20, the G7, the COPs, COP16, COP29, COP30. And in all these processes, we need to create a convergence. We also have the Food System Hub, which was designed to create a transformation and the pathways of transformation. We cannot operate in silos. If we are going to push the bioeconomy strategies and to push the importance of bioeconomy, it needs to be part of this process. It needs to be part of this global alliance against hunger and poverty, an alliance that has 3 pillars: knowledge, financing, and implementation at the country level. We need to bring these best practices into this process so that finally we can look at convergence and also bring the transformation pathways of the hub, and also trying to attract the financing for what is needed to be able to create the transformation that is needed. We don't have time to waste. We need to act quickly. But if we don't achieve this coordination or this convergence of the different initiatives and the different science-based initiatives, like the one of bioeconomy, we won't be able to achieve what we're looking for. So thank you so much, and I really hope we can move forward in a coordinated way and not in an isolated way. Thank you so much, and it was a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you to Dr. Máximo Torero. As he said, with the bioeconomy, we have a unique opportunity to transform our agri-food system, but we have to take action right now. And this action should be a collective action. Now, I would like to introduce the Dr. Ishahal Elowati, Executive Managing Director of the Consortium of International Agricultural Research Center, CGR, who sent us a video also.
It is an honor today for me to join you at the Global Bioeconomy Summit. Across the globe, we face unprecedented pressures on our agri-food systems and our ecosystems. And as we search for solutions, it is clear that the bioeconomy offers transformative opportunities and potential. By integrating organic waste into our agri-food system, we can tackle the interconnected crisis of food security, climate change, while promoting economic growth, especially in vulnerable regions like Africa and in the least and middle income countries. In Africa and the least middle income countries, where climate impacts are felt most severely, bioeconomy presents an opportunity to strengthen agri-food system and promote long-term climate resilience. At CGR, we are focused on strengthening the resilience of urban and rural food system by leveraging key insights from bioeconomy concepts and practices. We work to steer our portfolio towards essential elements of a healthy bioeconomy, including regenerative agriculture, agroecology, nature-positive solution, resource recovery from biowaste, and overall, the transformation of our land, water, and food systems. Countries like Kenya, Ethiopia, Ghana, and Uganda are already integrating modern technologies into their agriculture sector through national biotechnology strategies. These initiatives are helping to maximize agricultural productivity, conserve biodiversity, and improve livelihoods for rural communities. At CGR, we are fully committed to driving these changes. For decades, we have been working on programs that advance the circular bioeconomy, particularly in Africa and the least and middle income countries. Allow me to highlight our areas of focus. First, our efforts aim to achieve several goals. 1. Developing evidence, technologies, and capacities to strengthen urban food systems. Second, creating equitable employment and business opportunities. And third, safeguarding and building one health system that cater to human, animals, and environment health altogether. Number 4, reducing our overall carbon footprint. And fifth one is through collaboration with public and private sector. We are working to minimize, recover, and safely remove urban food waste, organic matter, agro waste, livestock waste, and waste. I would like to highlight few areas and few examples. We partner on scaling program initiated in Kenya and Colombia. These programs are CGR investment focused on implementing business models promoting circular bioeconomy. We have assessed the circular bioeconomy investment climate of 15 countries in the least and middle income countries. In Ethiopia and Nepal, we are doing a deeper analysis to identify pathways for sustainable investment for long-term benefits. In Ghana, we have established a circular bioeconomy innovation hub that builds on over a decade of research. This hub brings together ministries, universities, and the private sector to scale innovation in resource use and environmental protection. Through these initiatives, we are not only generating evidence and technologies, but also building the capacity of local communities and institutions to lead the transformation towards sustainable bioeconomy. But we cannot achieve these outcomes alone. The principle of circularity and renewability that underpin the bioeconomy require coordinated global actions. As we look toward the future, bioeconomy must be embraced as a global movement, one that brings together public and private sector, academia, and civil society. I could even call it is about mimicking nature, because nature is a bioeconomy-based principles. Together, we can cultivate good food for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really like this phrase, bioeconomy should be a global movement as a bridge between the climate crisis, the rural and the agricultural development, and the food nutrition. I really like that. The third video that we have is of the Ambassador André Correa do Lago. The Ambassador André Correa is the Secretary of Brazil for Climate Change, Energy, and Environmental, and also the Ambassador André Correa was a leader in the G20 initiative related with bioeconomy. So let's welcome to the Ambassador André Correa do Lago.
Hello, my name is André Correa do Lago. I'm the Secretary for Climate, Energy, and Environment of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Brazil. Thank you very much for inviting me to the Global Bioeconomy Summit. And I would like to say a few words to you, even if I was not able to attend personally. First of all, I would like to tell you that since Brazil was presiding G20 this year, we thought that bioeconomy was a very important subject, and we created the initiative, the G20 initiative on bioeconomy. And we are glad that at the end of the process, we approved the 10 principles on bioeconomy that the leaders of the G20 are going to formally endorse in November. In between these principles, we are stressing mostly the balance that is needed between science and traditional knowledge, because biodiversity is around us thanks to many indigenous communities and traditional communities that have kept precious information and knowledge about what is available. So the bioeconomy will very much depend on this knowledge as well as science. So we believe that there are many dimensions that have to be valued in that context. And most of them, naturally, have to concentrate on contributing to sustainable development. Because if there is no balance between the environment, the economy, and the social dimension, we are not going to have a bioeconomy that truly makes the difference as we want it to happen. The other area that we are very concentrated on this year in Brazil is naturally the preparation of COP30 next year in Belém, the first time that COP on climate change is going to happen in the Amazon. So we are very happy to welcome the world in Belém, and naturally bioeconomy is going to be a very important theme, because we want the world to know that forests are in fact the answer to many of the challenges we have today, and not the source of problems as many people think that forests are. So we're going to be not only discussing forests, but discussing naturally what how much the economy has to change. And for the economy of the world to change in a more sustainable path, bioeconomy is going to be central. So all your discussions are going to be a great contribution to this effort of Brazil. And I thank you all for being together and for bringing to us also many conclusions that will be extremely important for COP30. Goodbye.
Well, thank you to the ambassador. Thank you for the video. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for the leadership of Brazil in the G20, because the inclusion of bioeconomy in the agenda is really good. Well, we have here in the room, we have in person, two highly distinguished keynote speakers that can complement the visions that in this topic. I would like to present the Professor Xiang Eng-sang. The Professor Xiang Eng-sang. Welcome, Professor. Dean and Chair Professor in the Faculty of Synthetic Biology on Shenzhen University of Advanced Technology in China. Professor, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank Chairman for the kind introduction, and thank the audience. Yes, this couple of days I learned quite many from you, particularly the senior member of this organization. So right now I would like to share some information with you, which is a technical part, the synthetic biology. Yeah, since, as you know, Leeuwenhoek Hooke invented the microscope and observed the cells, the little stuff under the microscope, life science has gone about 350 years. And here I highlight some milestones during this historical period. So among them, the formation of classical genetics took about 50 years. So I will mention about 350 years. So this is the first 50 years. This is about 50 years. So from classical genetics to molecular genetics. The central dogma and the genetic tools of molecular biology gave rise to gene technology, which became the powerful driving force for biotechnology and biomanufacturing. In later 50 years, the Human Genome Project had been completed, and life sciences entered the era of life omics. So the parallel development of reductionism and the omics has led to the information of systems biology. Okay? So life science have entered the era of synthetic biology. So from understanding and transformation, and from understanding life and transformation life, and to design and synthesize biological systems. Sometimes people use the synthesize life, but I don't like to use that word, but synthesize the biological system, whatever is the cell or molecular machines. So actually the term of synthetic biology was proposed by a French scientist over 100 years ago. It's not a new term. So physicists attempt to understand the mechanism of life by simulating the cell. So then later, Chinese scientists took the lead in synthesizing the proteins, which is bovine proteins, bovine insulin proteins in about 1950, 1960 years. So, however, the truly rapid development of synthetic biology has occurred since the turn of the century. The development can be divided into three major directions. The enabling technology, synthesis of the chromosome, and metabolic engineering or cell factories. So in the beginning of the century, in the year of 2000, MIT and California scientists independently introduced the principle of electronic engineering into the genome, which is bacterial genome, creating gene circuit and demonstrating the ability to artificially design the genome functional structures. And we call that year 2000 the birth of synthetic biology. So later also occurred in California and MIT, where the genetic codon expansion and CRISPR gene editing have emerged successfully. Yeah, as you can see that. So in recent years, with the intervention of artificial intelligence, scientists can not only predict the protein structure, 3D structure at atomic precision, and biological molecular interactions on a large scale, but also design new proteins from scratch. So this enabling technology greatly endured the synthetic biology with the ability. So you can see that. So The third direction is to create cell factory to produce high-value biochemicals. So scholars from the University of California and Stanford have pioneered the synthesis of plant medicines, such as artemisinin and opiates in microbial cells. And in order to avoid the limitation of land use, land shortage, impact of the climate, and the natural disasters on plant medicine production, and to produce them on a large scale in fermenter. So in this year, just in this year, Chinese scientists achieved the synthesis of the prerequisite of the anti-cancer star plant medicine, which is paclitaxel, and synthesize the food, oil, and high-value biochemical substances from carbon dioxide. So it just occurred in my institute, and other institutes in China. So most of these representative achievements have been awarded or listed as top 10 breakthrough of the year or Nobel Prize. You'll see that. All these top 10 breakthrough of the year and this Nobel Prize just awarded in recent years. So in summary, ability of the concept of synthetic biology are built to learn the nature, and built to use, built to apply, to create the benefit to the human being. And its science significance and practical value have attracted high attention from the society, not only academic society, but also whole society. About a decade ago, around 2009 to 2012, UK, USA, and China held a series of symposiums with 6 academies: Academy of Science, the Academy of Engineering. So we call that 6-party symposium to comprehensively discuss the connotation, research directions, the platforms enabling technology, governance principle, etc. The symposium had great impact on science and society. So many countries released the synthetic biology roadmaps. So China has launched a special research program for synthetic biology. So I'm now served as the director of the Committee of Synthetic Biology Special Program. So in addition, MIT creates the so-called synthetic biology competition, which called an IGIM, very famous. So attract students from all over the world to take part in the competition. So this is about the whole image of synthetic biology. I took about 3-4 minutes to explain it. So after 6-party symposium, the UK, EU, US, Canada, Australia have successfully released the synthetic biology or engineering biology roadmaps. I would say synthetic biology is defined as engineering biology. And engineering biology is also defined as synthetic biology, the same. So which cover a wide range of topics, including bioeconomies, biosemiconductors, microbiome, biomaterials, climate and sustainable development, and so on. So EBRC, which is an engineering biology research consortium based in the States, is one of the most active organizations. So undertaking most of those roadmaps researches by collaboration with different sectors. Then the EU recently released the next step development strategy for synthetic biology. So after 10 years, so EU and EU after 10 years. It's a very good review, which is a very good refined report. So, so the latest one is ours. I actually present the preliminary idea at Washington meeting 12 years ago, but we couldn't formulate our roadmap. But recently, we took about 2 years. We completed. So this is the latest version of synthetic biology roadmap. So we will translate it in English at the end of this year. We describe the synthetic biology as an emerging interdisciplinary field that incorporates the latest technology, the advancements, and outlines the 4 main components: theory, enabling technology, application, and ethical laws, the governance principle. So I don't have time to explain this in details. This is very important. This is core part of the synthetic biology. But I would say the theoretical framework is still very preliminary, including white box and a black box. So this is our version. So then the enabling technology includes the emerging technologies such as, in addition to the technology that I described previously, some new technology was included, like organoid engineering, self-free system, AI design, etc. So application part can be divided into two. Build to learn, I explained before. So we're represented by the artificially synthesis of single cell. So through the cell synthesis to learn biological function emergence from the very beginning. So we probably could answer the origin of the cells. So build to learn directly contribute to the future bioeconomy and sustainable development. The governance principle include bioethics, biosafety, biosecurity, education, public engagement, etc. So by studying all these roadmaps, we could get some points. First, the influence of synthetic biology is extremely extensive, involving almost all the application fields and having significant implications for future economy and sustainable development. Secondly, countries have slightly different orientations towards each other's, so based on their own interest and development needs. So I used to have the table to show all this, but I don't have time today. Yeah, this is also technical part. So although the roadmap emphasized that the new technology are constantly emerging, the current level of technology is not sufficient to support us in efficient biological design and manufacturing. For example, current gene editing technology is limited to single gene editing, lockout or lock-in. In the treatment of genetic diseases, mutation gene in situ correction and RNA gene editing are very important. And genome-wide gene editing is also a future goal. So we identify all those limitations, and we set up the 10-year goal. Then we propose the research, the roadmap, the way we reach the goal. So they just so many and very technical. So in introduction of the, particularly I would like to mention the introduction of the AI had a destructive impact on life science research. So winning the Nobel Prize this year, there are three major highlights in protein science. One is the large-scale and efficient prediction of almost all protein 3D structure, spatial structure, which is a great liberation for structural biologists. Second, it can predict almost all interactions between biological molecules, which not only promotes the basic research in life science, but also has great significance implications for drug development. I believe just in recent 3 years, there should be many new drugs against cancers and other diseases. And third is it is possible to design new proteins which does not exist in nature from scratch. It opened a new window to develop new enzymes for new catalysis, production of the biochemicals, for new applications, more effective drugs, and so on. Okay, this slide summarizes the application built to use of the synthetic biology. So you could see just so many. So they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost all the field you can imagine. So the biochemical industry and biomedicines. So compared to the current biotechnology, synthetic biology deals with complex biological system to solve the more important, more difficult, more the problems. Just for example, according to many countries' government plan, the biochemical products produced by petrochemicals will be largely replaced by synthetic biology, by bioproducts, okay? Particularly polymers. So like these polymers you can see everywhere, so will be replaced by biological process, production process in 20 years. 90% will be replaced. So very, very difficult, very ambitious. Medicine part. So as you know, the vaccine, during the COVID, so we produced the vaccine very quick. But the virus mutated, then the vaccine lost the efficiency. You have to prepare the new vaccine again. So one of the tasks of synthetic biology is to produce the universal vaccine, which is very difficult but very useful. Okay, there are just so many examples. I don't have time, unfortunately. So this couple of days, people in this hall discuss a lot about bioenergy and agriculture, foods, the environmental issues. I think it's very, very important. So experts here proposed real problems for us. So we need to study real problems, not from technical to technical. So I don't have time then. So now these slides classify the biomanufacturing into 5 stages. So with fermentation as the traditional biomanufacturing, you can see thousands of years. The second stage is the production of organic acid vitamins through pure culture of microorganisms. The third stage is large-scale fermentation of penicillin antibiotics. The fourth stage is genetic engineering, so one gene, one product. So very important. So fourth stage, now we are discussing the fourth stage, which is the synthetic biology plus AI. It's not like mobile phone, 1G, 1G, 3G, 4G, 5G. Now, right now, 1G, 2G, 3G mobile phone disappeared. But all this generation of biomanufacturers will coexist for many years for different needs. So according to the McKinsey report, the contribution of modified biology, which is 4G and 5G, to the bioeconomy is predict to be 30% in the near future, 50% in the medium term, and 70% by the middle of this century. So I believe that. So about 2 years ago, so China released its 5-year plan for the bioeconomy. Okay, it lists 28 measures to promote the bioeconomy from different perspectives. The fifth measure is technology. So it emphasizes the synthetic biology as well. So I don't read this in detail. So Chinese Society of Biotechnology, which I serve as a vice president and a chair of the synthetic biology division, successfully timely released the annual report on bioeconomy. So this is the just released. I didn't have time to read it. Too heavy to bring with us. So it covered a wide range of the topics. So you can see that. Then so probably force me to stop. So I just forgot about the other slides, but this is the summary of the slides. You can see that the synthetic biology driven the emerging of biotechnology and biomanufacturing, 5G, and the future bioeconomy. Yeah, I like this stuff. So towards the green, sustainable, and high efficient. Whoa, move. Okay, so yeah, happy to stay with you, and thank you very much for your patience and listening. So you can reach me by any means, so I would like to answer your question afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor, for a great presentation. I only want to remark 2 things. The first one is that the presentation reminds me something that Dr. Joaquin von Braun told us yesterday about that the evolution of science and technology is defining and will define the potential of bioeconomy for the society. Regarding the plenary is the main of the scientific and technological developments that the professor showed in the presentation were carried out through collaborations between universities, research centers. So we have a last keynote speaker that I would like to welcome to the stage, Mr. Vikash Abraham. Welcome. Chief Strategy Officer at an Nandi Foundation who works in India empowering smallholder farmers through regenerative agriculture. Welcome.
Thank you, Hugo. We all know how difficult it is to change a behavior. Yet, our race against climate change demands behavioral transformation. All large companies are committing to change their supply chain into one that is more carbon positive. But the real challenge is, how do you transition more than 1 million farmers from conventional agriculture to regenerative agriculture without a drop in yield and without risking food security? My name is Vikash Abraham. I'm part of the Nandi Foundation. And today I would like to share our experience, learning, and innovations where we work with small farmers through this transition. At Nandi, we've been working directly with small farmers for the last 25 years. And we've used 3 financial vehicles to enable social change. One is the philanthropy, which comes through our nonprofits. The second is social businesses. We got one which is more a B2C, lifestyle-oriented brand, and a second which is a large volume commodity brand. And the third is the carbon financing. We've been using that since 2010, largely with agroforestry and sustainable land use management. But for us, innovation starts with listening and proximity to the community. For the 125 million small landholding farmers in India, climate change is not their priority. Their priority is to address the aspirations of their family. So when we design a system, it is important to give their priority, the number one importance there, and ensure that we are able to provide farmer profitability, quick results, and a lot of convenience so that adoption of the system will happen. I would like to share 3 key components that helped us do this. One is the foundation layer, a physical layer, which enables the connection with the farmers and which the rest is built on. The second is a digital layer that we have, which enables practice adoption. And the third is the intelligence and the science which drives the layers below. So let's start with the physical layer. So when we go to a cluster of farmers, existing conventional farmers, we actually take 10 acres of land on lease for a long period of time and set up what we refer to as a regenerative agricultural hub. The objective of the hub is that it should address every need of a farmer when he has to move and continue with regenerative agriculture. So the hub produces inputs for soil fertility, foliar sprays, there is farm services, and most importantly, the market and the buyback based on quality. So we have our collection centers also in the hub. The beauty of the hub is that 99% of the raw materials used in the hub comes from the local region and what people consider as waste. For example, in Delhi is popular for paddy stubble burning and the pollution that it causes. So this hub that you see here is our Delhi hub, and we procure around 1,000 tons of paddy stubble each year. Along with other similar crop residues, we convert that to very high quality compost, which the farmers buy from us. Hence, this hub is able to give convenience, economy of scale to small farmers, and quality processes that gives quality inputs. But regenerative agriculture is more about practices than inputs. And this is where the technology platform that we created helps. It's something like Google Maps, where you have a complex algorithm at the back end, but you need simple instructions for people to follow. So this tech that we have uses multiple region principles behind, from crop sequencing, companion cropping, at each crop stage what to do. We even have the lunar calendar in it, but converts it to a simple schedule for farmers to follow. And as each farmer follows a schedule, so it's customized for each farm based on when he sowed it and what are the crops that he's growing, as he follows it, we also capture the information to the app, and that comes back to a central dashboard. And this enables us to improve the practices further. But I think the most important part of it is the intelligence that goes into all of it. For a small farmer, even from the first season of transition, if the yield drops, he will not continue with the program. And hence, the agriculture has to be efficient, and this is where the science of plant nutrition comes in. Conventional agriculture is still based on a human understanding of plant nutrition, which is 150 years old, where plants get nutrition through water-soluble inorganic elements. In the last 15 years, our visibility has evolved, and we understand the symbiotic relationship between the plant, the microbes within the plant, and the soil, and their ability to exchange superior nutrition through primary and secondary metabolites. So honestly, our core work is to transition lands that were used to water-soluble fertilizers and convert them as fast as possible into lands that have the symbiotic biological pathways. And for this, in 2019, we started our Center of Excellence that focuses on plant nutrition from a biological perspective. We work with multiple partners across the world for this. We have our own labs, but we also take traditional practices and overlap them with the latest visibility to understand how they work. All of this principles created by the Center of Excellence is the back engine for the agri-tech, and hence every farmer's field is designed based on the latest learning. We also get the feedback which enables us to improve the process. When the fundamental changes, when plant nutrition changes, everything above in the food system changes too. The way you define soil deficiency, the testing protocols for that, the way farms are designed, your post-harvest now needs to handle multiple crops rather than a single crop, and then everything above. But there is also a big advantage to align back to nature's cycle. When you align back to nature's cycle, we see that everything turns positive. The agriculture sequestrates carbon, the plants are more resilient, and the produce is more nutrient dense. Today, Nandi works across India. We work with 150,000 farmers. We have a business model where farmers purchase the inputs from us. We work through the growing cycle. We buy back the produce, and then we take it to market. We have our own sales teams. We have our own supply and logistics, which ensures 100% traceability. So from a consumer's perspective, they get 100% traceability as well as a low-carbon produce as such. I would like to close this by going back to behavior change. There is a challenge for each of us in this room. Can we rethink plant nutrition? And hence, can we redesign our food systems into one that is much more efficient than what we have today? Thank you.
Thank you, Vikash, and many thanks to all the keynote speakers for inspiring presentation, inspiring histories that show us that if we want to create impact, if we want to create a huge solution, we have to rethink. We have to rethink, and we have to work together. We have to work on synergies. Now, all right. You can take the floor for the panelist session. So,
good afternoon, everybody. My first question is Talash Hybers here? Perfect. A slight change from the intended agenda, but we are going to have 2 panel discussions next. But before that, I'd like to invite Talash to the stage because she wants to make a short pitch. So she is founder and CEO of Insectipro in Kenya, and will give us a 3 or 4 minute introduction to her work there. And yeah, we're looking forward to hearing from that.
Good afternoon, everybody. Did you enjoy your lunch? If I told you that I put crickets in the mashed potatoes, would you still have enjoyed your lunch? Good to know. So globally, around 2 billion people eat insects, and I believe that insects are a solution for future-proofing our proteins. I'm a Gen Z, and I am very stressed. 1 in 5 people will be African by 2030, and 1 in 4 people by 2050. That is a lot of people. How are we going to feed all these people, and how are we going to manage their waste? Right now, Africa has 19 out of 50 of the largest dump sites in the world, with Kenya alone producing 3,000 metric tons of waste a day. Kampala sits at 6,000 metric tons of waste a day. 70% of this waste is recyclable. Wonderful. I believe that insects are a part of the solution. Right now, it is a $50 million industry, growing to $3 billion by 2030, the black soldier fly. Edible insects, also a very large growing market. There are all the challenges, there are all the solutions, but I won't bore you with this. Hi, Laura. You know this very well. This is what is important to me, is a circularity that you can create in food and feed value chains through insects. For example, we collect 60 tons of organic waste in our main facility, 150 in our new facility. We bring that all to a central location. We feed it to the bugs. I know I don't look like a garbage collector, but it is the main part of my day job. The bugs eat it. They become high-value protein that replaces fish meal and soy in animal feed, or not just replaces, but adds to the total amount of protein available for feed millers. And their poop is some of the best organic fertilizer on the market. We're seeing large increases in yield. But what is most exciting is the creation of these circular feed and food value chains, meaning that all the waste that is produced has a new value. And as we heard earlier, inputs are quite a big challenge in Africa. We currently run on 3 products: the dried feed, the fertilizer, and our cricket snacks/powder. So we are running 3 insects at Insectipro. We have our black soldier fly for feed and food, our crickets for human nutrition, and our mealworms for biotechnology. To date, we've recycled 22,000 metric tons of waste, which has offset 18,000 tons of carbon. We have worked with, right now, 80,000 farmers, so I should have changed this number because I saw my slides earlier, converting them to using organic fertilizer, but also regenerative agriculture practices. We do exactly what the speaker before me mentioned. We hold their hands throughout the process and see how we can make this transition easier for them. We're seeing large increases in yield and reduction in bacteria and pests on the field. Same thing with the insect food. Chickens are getting heavier, pigs are growing a bit faster, and it's all from an organic, natural product. So it's taking all this traditional knowledge that people had on insects, mixing it with a bit of science and innovation, and creating a new product. Our For food program, the 360, it was clinical trials, so people don't freak out. I'm not feeding children for fun. So just finished the clinical trials, getting the product licensed based on porridge. What else is interesting? Oh, we run mainly on solar. Like I said, Gen Z energy efficiency is very important to me, how we're maintaining green economy. If you have any questions, see me later, and I did well.
Thank you very much, Talash. I think you make a compelling and very convincing argument about the potential of insects for not only food, but fertilizer, feed, and many other applications, so thank you. We'll now start the first of two panel discussions. So we're going to look at the transformation of our economy and society through the bioeconomy, but with the particular lens on collaboration. So we want to explore what partnerships, what coalitions, what alliances are needed to support bioeconomy transformation globally, who needs to be involved, who needs to be in the room, and how we can build such alliances and partnerships. And we take inspiration from some excellent examples from around the world that are, I suppose, implementing collaborative efforts to advance the bioeconomy and also operating at different scales, so local, regional and international scales, and also across value chains. And that leads then nicely into the second panel, where Christina Lang will lead a discussion, an important and strategic discussion around building a global bioeconomy partnership. So let's get started. First of all, I'd like to invite Professor Stephanie Baumgartner to the stage. Stephanie is Professor of Green Chemistry at AgroParisTech, which is the National Institute of Technology for Life, Food and Environmental Sciences in France. And she's also coordinator of an Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters in Bioeconomy and leads a research team on plant sciences. Our second panelist is Dr. Rose Mubaze. Rose is here, perfect. Rose is Representative and Regional Director for Africa at UNEP, the United Nations Environment Programme, and previously served as Director and Advisory Board Secretary of the United Nations Climate Technology Centre and Network, which is the implementation arm of the UNFCCC technology mechanism. Our third panelist is Dr. Annemieke Day. Annemieke is here, yeah. Annemieke is CEO of GIAN, which is a grassroots innovation augmentation network in India, a non-profit focusing on understanding and enhancing community innovations and outstanding traditional knowledge. Our third panelist then is Lara Kotze Jacobs, who joins us from South Africa. Lara is Programme Manager in the Future Production Chemicals Cluster at CSIR, which is the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research in South Africa. And they're working with, on technology, product and process development with a range of startups and private companies. And last up is Francis Sullivan. Francis holds several distinguished roles. He's board member and advisor to a number of organisations, including the Sustainable Biomass Production Limited, and also he's an advisor on Built by Nature. So he brings a lot of experience in the area of sustainability of woody biomass and timber supply chains. So our time is tight. Each of the panelists will have 2 to 3 minutes to outline their work and how it contributes to this idea of collaboration and where we need to move in the future for the bioeconomy. So I'll start with Stephanie first. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you. It is a real honor for me to sit here. Real emotion also to feel all this humanity, all these people from different cultures looking in the same direction. But I won't be long. Too long with these introductive words, and I will go straight away to the heart of the topic from my point of view, which is science. I would like to emphasize, through these introductive slides, the role of science in this process of moving forward together. Science is a cornerstone, not only requested to generate knowledge, tools, methods necessary for innovation, but also it is necessary for the assessment of the impact of the innovation on the ecosystem in particular. Science is here to guide policy and decision makers. It's a huge responsibility to orientate these decisions. Science contributes to dissemination, just a few figures. Thanks to open science, knowledge can be distributed within the scientific community. And just to keep you informed that in 4 years, the proportion of open science papers in the field of bioeconomy rose from 30% to 50%. There is still a margin of progress, but it's already there and demonstrates the role of science for dissemination. And last but not least, science is here to foster global synergies. It's a catalyst. Just because science has no boundaries, science do not claim to any country, as Louis Pasteur said. So let's move to the second slide to emphasize how global collaborations, thanks to research, scientific research, can help jointly design local sustainable solutions. For that, to illustrate this idea, I have selected the example of a successful innovation trajectory, harnessing synergies between research stakeholders, food processing SMEs, and local equipment suppliers, implemented in the project BioStar, funded by European Union and the French Agency for Development. The objective of this project was to jointly design some technical solutions to improve the sustainability, the resilience, and agro-food SMEs in Western Africa in order to ensure both food and energy security of these SMEs. The project was led by, and is still led by, CIRAD, French International Center for Research in Agriculture for Development. Thanks to real interactions between the stakeholders, 9 new types of equipment, each tailored to a specific value chain, could be jointly developed. As an example, a boiler fueled by cashew shell. Someone talked about cashew this morning. Cashew nut shell combustion coupled with an optimized mango dryer model. 16 pilot SMEs have been using already these technologies in 2 countries, and the technologies has been transferred through a dissemination process to other countries. Thanks to this project, in fact, the expertise of CIRAD in thermochemistry was implemented, adapted to a local questions and local problematics, and in turn, by investigating the biodiversity, the local resources, the researcher from CIRAD gained knowledge on the reactivity of these biomasses, components, during the thermochemical conversion. So it gives rise also to scientific theses, 13 scientific theses. And another project has arisen from this collaboration, which is a new UNESCO share dedicated to training, research, entrepreneurship, which involve 6 universities from 6 African countries, and also 6 European universities.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Stephanie. I fully agree about science as a cornerstone, and many bioeconomy strategies had their genesis in research and innovation, so it remains critical to bioeconomy development. We'll move then to Rose. Looking forward to hearing your opening statement.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure for me to be here, mostly because of the opportunity that has been granted by our colleagues who are organizing this. And I'd just like to share with you what we do in UNEP in terms of partnerships mobilizing around the bioeconomy, where we like to humbly acknowledge that we are the smaller of the UN organizations, but our job is really to convene and to bring together member states to coalesce around these issues. But we belong to a very strong one UN family. And so we're very happy to be in this. And one of the things that we've done successfully within UNEP, working with other partners around this topic, is to introduce the conversation around the economics of ecosystems and biodiversity in our Inclusive Wealth report. Now, you will say, what has this got to do with what we're talking about here? What we know for sure in UNEP and sitting here in this Global Bioeconomy Summit, the first in Africa and in Kenya, for us in UNEP, we are very proud to always say we are the only globally headquartered UN entity in the Global South. And we've been headquartered in Nairobi, happily for the last 52 years. But this summit is important because in UNEP we are responding to what we, in our smallness, have decided to focus on: the triple planetary crisis. And we know we cannot address the crisis of climate, of nature, and pollution without really looking at in-depth connection on how the bioeconomy is linked to this. And this means that we have to go beyond GDP, as has been now agreed and stated in the Pact of the Future, and look at the nexus between debt and natural capital, and how we use nature in a regenerative way that allows us then to deal with the crisis of climate and nature. And as we sit here in UNEP, we've had the privilege of working with our colleagues in FAO and elsewhere to support the Brazilian presidency of the G20 and developed the principles we've talked about on biodiversity economy. In UNEP, what has been important for us is that we don't work just with member states. I tell colleagues I have a unique opportunity for the role I play now in UNEP as Director for Africa, that I'm also an African working for the UN in Africa. So my job, it's professional, but it's also personal. And the work that we are looking forward to doing in terms of partnerships for South Africa's G20 presidency cannot be looked at in isolation of the African Union, which also sits now permanently on the G20. And so South Africa, in effect, to speak for them, if I may, is not just providing leadership as a country. The continent is looking up to it. And in the conversations we are having with the African Union, it is very much thought of as an African presidency, even though it is hosted by South Africa. And this is no coincidence for Africa. It is important because in UNEP we convene the African Ministerial Conference on Environment that brings together the 54 ministers of environment. And in the 17th meeting of these African ministers, which was in fact held in Durban in South Africa, one of the key areas that the ministers called for in support is on bioeconomy and a common approach across the continent. So the centrality of biodiversity in Africa's discussion on the bioeconomy is really underpinned by our understanding of what a sustainable future would look like for this continent. With the understanding that 2/3 of the world's biodiversity is found on this continent. Without practices such as regenerative agriculture and all the wonderful technological innovations relating to crickets. I come from Uganda. Crickets form a very high ratio of protein content. So I know the value it can bring to this, but really acknowledging Africa's rich biodiversity and the potential it has through innovation and technology, which should require us to have some standards and common approaches would bring to this. So for us in terms of partnerships, I speak to the role that I play really in UNEP Leading Africa. Our partnership is incomplete without partnering with the African Development Bank. The African member states require that what we do is able to be valorized into real projects and investments in Africa. And therefore, all the work that we do around ecosystems and biodiversity, but really around the triple planetary crisis is done in partnership with the African Development Bank. Our latest venture has been the production of an Africa's Natural Capital Atlas. And really what it does is to help us digitize in a visible way Africa's natural assets and therefore how we can use them sustainably, whether it's for carbon markets, regenerative agriculture, or moving into, transition minerals. The idea is for African member states, we have this per country, to be able to visualize this, and then for the funding partners like the African Development Bank to valorize those assets into investments that bring incomes. Because in truth, the feedback we get from member states being a convening body of the UN is this cannot be just a conversation about nature and the economy in GDP terms. They want real jobs. Africa is a very youthful continent, highly aspirational young people. We've just seen an example of what the Gen Zs do, and they are looking for our work around bioeconomy and research and innovation to create real jobs and contribute to real growth on the continent. And those are some of the conversations we are having with our partners across the continent. And in Kenya, I will close by talking about Kenya, a host country. We see a lot of innovations. You've seen one, but we've seen one that I find exciting that is looking at that is investing in novel production of cassava bags made from cassava starch, which is biodegradable. They've just shown us the volume of waste that is generated in African cities, high population, high urbanization rates. These are some of the innovations that are using bio-based materials, that are renewable, that are helping growth and sustainability in our cities and leading to growth through bio-industrialization, which also creates jobs. Ultimately, that is what we want to see. So going forward, we see a real value in these robust partnerships within the one UN as we operate in the UN, but also across and outside the UN with the member states themselves, but also partners in the financial sector. I've just given an example of the African Development Bank. And we really look forward to continuing these partnerships. For Africa, this will be an important moment. As I said, the feedback we are getting, it's a South African presidency, but it's an African presidency because the African Union intends to align very strongly to this presidency as a continental approach to raising some of the key issues, and I think the bioeconomy is going to be central to these conversations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rose. Great to hear about the multilateral cooperation that's taking place globally, but also on the African continent. We'll move now next to Anamika. We're going to move down to the grassroots level, and we're looking forward to hearing more about the GIAN network and the work that you do.
Yes. So let me briefly tell you what we do. Our logo, I don't know if can we put the slide? Yes. If you see on the right in the corner, the Honeybee Network, so it stands for Nameless, Faceless Innovators and Knowledge Providers. When they come in contact with a network, they gain identity. This is our work. We find innovations mostly in the rural sector, done by farmers, artisans, mechanics. Now, one can always say that India is a big country. There are so many multinationals. Why do these innovations matter? Now, they address the gap that has been left by the market because the need may be very small, there's no scalability, or by the state due to different problems of access, attitude, affordability. So these innovators have taken upon themselves to build something from the local resources and address these challenges. We also encourage outstanding traditional knowledge holders. Now, when we collect knowledge, we collect like everything. And how do we do it? The students, the university students and the little grown-up students, maybe in 10th or plus 2, they will go back to their homes during the holidays, and we ask them that if you find something new, something odd, something that you cannot understand, document it and send it to us. We give a brief capacity building so that they understand what innovation means. And when they go back, they collect these things and they then deposit to us, or they can send it to us. So in this way, we have databases of more than 100,000 of grassroots innovations and more than, I think, 3.5 lakhs, so 350,000 traditional knowledge practices. We have a database of 200,000 student projects, engineering projects. Now, if you see Harvard and Stanford, their student projects are not there in one place. Now, how will the students know what is the current standard of the country? What is the current standard of science and technology? And these databases are all open source. We have a database of 1 million patents, abandoned patents of the US PTO. So these are available for free. Our intention was that if you have an idea and you want to check if there is a technology already available, you can just check it. And this is how we have been able to make the databases grow up enterprises. Now, what we always say that if you want to include the poor, the most deprived in your dialogues, build products out of abundant and abandoned resources, because nobody will care. If it is abundant, because it is free for everybody, it is abandoned, like the food waste or the agriculture waste, anything that is you don't find a use till now, then people will not bother. And we have made products out of traditional knowledge, and they are proving to be better than the standard in the modern medicine. And we are now again going to the clinical trial phase. The good part is they are not harming the environment. We are procuring the materials from the people. The people are then selling it. The name of the knowledge providers are on the label, of the ointment that we made. And 30% of the margin goes to the girls who sell them to the people. Now, when we are talking about market, we forget about horizontal market. People buy things. Groups themselves should buy from each other. So there are different models that we try, and how we have been able, in spite of being a very small group, how we have been able to survive. Of course, our founder, Professor Anil Gupta, has said this Honeybee Network in 1988. I was a small child, not even going to school. But that's the thing that is in our DNA is we have been bestowed with good friendships, with volunteers, people who do not charge their professional fee from us. The IP lawyers, we have more than 1,200 patents till now. We have filed for in the name of the community. They have never charged a penny from us. We just pay the government fee. The scientists, they don't charge for their time. Most of the scientists, and we believe everybody, all of us want to give back something to our society. And maybe this innate goodness that is there brings people to us, and we are able to help many more with the help of our community or the platform that we have. And hence, our idea is that we not only do benefit sharing and everything that has been told time and again with the community knowledge, but we can come together, build a platform. Maybe we can go to the last slide. I just had 2-3 slides. Yes. So can we bring together the innovators, the entrepreneurs, and the investors? Now, the innovators are also the knowledge providers, and we often think that an innovator will be a good entrepreneur. No, it is not. Sometimes innovator is happy being an innovator, like an artist is happy being an artist. If you tell an artist to make multiple copies of his art, he will not do it, because he doesn't enjoy doing that. He doesn't enjoy doing standard things. So our innovators will also change the specifications whenever they have to make something for the market. Market wants standardized products. So what we do, we find some entrepreneur who has the skills, who understands market, and who can take the innovation forward, licenses out in different terms, and they will then bring it to the market. Now, a good innovator and a good entrepreneur may not have investment. So we find opportunities in government schemes, opportunities from different venture capitalists from private sector, though in the initial, let me tell you very frankly, that in the initial phase when the risk is high, private sector doesn't come in. It is always the public sector who puts in the first grant or the first money. And for innovators also, it's not easy to deal with investors, you see, angel investors and venture capitalists, because they are worried. What will happen to me if I'm not able to pay? So all these things, so the idea is build trust and build good collaborations with people, and all of us in this room maybe can make a good platform for our innovators, for our bio-entrepreneurs, for our traditional knowledge holders, and make this world a better place. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Annemieke. More than 100,000 grassroots innovations, if I heard correctly, is very, very impressive. So thank you for that contribution. We'll move to Lara then next and hear about your work in CSIR.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak with you today. So the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research in South Africa has a mandate to improve the lives of South Africans through science and innovation. And that is a wonderful mandate to go to wake up every day, because it gives us the opportunity to really make an impact. And one of the ways we've done that in the biomanufacturing and the bioeconomy sector is to actually support enterprises. And maybe my first slide can just come up, then I can show you the model that we use to do that. Okay, in the interest of time, the model relies on the CSIR's capability to do science and innovation, pivot the use of our infrastructure, which goes up all the way to pilot scale, to apply the knowledge we have in product and process development and to assist small enterprises with that knowledge. This de-risks the process from ideation to having a product in the market commercially. Investors look at that proof of principle that we've provided, and it makes it easier to invest in a business because you've de-risked the first part of the development of products. So I guess my slides aren't coming up. The second element that we do is workforce development. You cannot just try and stimulate industry, but who's going to work in that industry? So we do biomanufacturing training as well. We have internships, scholarships, people spending a year or sometimes less. We do it for South Africans. We've done training for the rest of the continent as well. And in the sense of collaboration, over the last 2 years, we've been supported by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the German GIZ, to do this type of training and to train across the continent people to be able to do biomanufacturing. In terms of the number of enterprises we've supported over the years, I think in the last 8 years we've managed to support about 60 enterprises with both low-tech and high-tech projects. We've created over, I would say, about 400 jobs related to those small enterprises, and we've transferred about 120 products to these enterprises. And that makes a real difference in our bioeconomy. These enterprises maybe didn't exist before they started working with us, and currently the majority of them are still in the market selling their products. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lara. Yeah, great to hear about the diversity of supports that you provide and the impact that you've had within South Africa and beyond, actually. So thank you very much for that. Moving then to Francis, interested to hear you work in certification of various different supply chains, so interesting to hear how collaboration works there and could be applied more widely.
Thank you very much indeed, Orla, and good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be back in Africa. I started my career in the sustainable bioeconomy in Cameroon and Nigeria many years ago, and it's great to see so much has happened since then. This session is about market transformation and partnerships, and based on the experience I've had over the last few decades, there are a few key ingredients, and I'd just like to outline those now. The first is agreed standards. Very important to have a common baseline of understanding of what we're trying to achieve with the sustainable bioeconomy. Environmental, social, and governance aspects need to be included, particularly biodiversity, soil maintenance, water, and all of which are essential for sustainable bioeconomy. Secondly, multi-stakeholder processes. We've heard a lot about partnerships, but successful certification systems, such as those I'm associated with now, have multi-stakeholder arrangements which include voices from the South, the North, business, NGOs, academia, and to some extent government, although I would argue they were less important. Certification processes, absolutely critical to have a level of auditing or verification to give confidence that these standards are being followed. And the market, I remember when you would go into a coffee shop and there would be one or perhaps two different types of coffee. Now, a coffee is not a coffee anymore. It's got different types of milk. It's got many different types of sweetener, if you like that sort of thing. And it's very important to start thinking not about commodity, but about product. And there's a real opportunity in rebranding to find markets for new innovative products and not just thinking about competing on the terms of products which are not innovative, not coming from the bioeconomy. And lastly, solving problems. Unless a business case is designed to solve a problem or create a new opportunity, it's probably not going to fly. So if we want to see sustainable bioeconomy transformation taking place in the years ahead, very important that we see this as solving problems for people and for nature around the world. So just to wrap up, there are important certification systems out there which are working well already. Forest Stewardship Council started in the 1990s, and an organization for sustainable woody biomass called Sustainable Biomass Program, which I'm involved with now. The more of these sorts of schemes there are to help bring producers and consumers of sustainable biomaterials together, the stronger the bioeconomy will be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're running very short of time, but maybe seeing as you still have the mic, Francis, what do you think can enable durable cooperation in terms of such partnerships? Because oftentimes they're time-bound or associated with a particular mandate. How do we enable them to sustain over a longer period?
It's a great question. When I started collaborating across geographies and between sectors many years ago, we didn't even have email. We relied on telephones and we relied on sending stuff out by mail. Some people are smiling. Yes, that's how we used to do it. Today it's so much easier. Perhaps it's too easy. And I see a lot of superficial collaboration taking place with people joining calls, not necessarily taking part in those meaningfully. Though I believe all those stakeholders being brought in need to find real value and derive direct value out of these collaborations. If that's not the case, if they're not getting some kind of value out of it, those collaborations won't last. So I would say across the global bioeconomy, you need to think very carefully, not just about setting up email groups and holding Teams calls, but we need to think about what each different stakeholder is going to get out of it. And that could either be to do with decreasing risk, it could be increasing revenue, it could be decreasing cost, it could be finding new markets, but that should be explicit before a process is started. And we're out of time.
Excellent. Thank you. Very nicely timed. I think we will conclude this particular panel there. What we're going to do is break for coffee. So you'll have 20 minutes for coffee. You'll be glad to hear. And then we'll reconvene for panel 2. So thank you, everybody. And thanks so much to the panelists and keynote speakers.